The AI revolution is barely an infant. 5 years ago, nobody talked about AI except for a few scientists. And what we saw in the 2016 elections with Cambridge Analytica, that's nothing. We still haven't passed the crucial watershed. The real watershed is the union of AI with biometrics. At present still, the vast majority of data being mined and people being hacked, it's not based on biological knowledge, on biological data. It's based on where I click, where I go, what I buy, and things like that. It's still outside the body. The real line in the sand is when biometric sensors become ubiquitous, and it's happening, and the data starts coming from within the body. And they can access your heart, your brain, not just your credit card. And AI it's nowhere near its full capacity. It's going to get much, much more sophisticated. So it's going to also to be much more difficult to regulate it, especially because even if, like the European Union, you have a law saying that if an algorithm makes a decision about me, like not hiring me for a job, I have the right to know why, which is very crucial. But to me, it seems completely ineffectual because the way algorithms make decisions about us is based on enormous amounts of data points. When a human decides not to hire me for a job, it's usually based on 2 or 3 salient data points, and I can understand why. Hey, you're gay, you're Jewish, we don't want you. Hey, that's discrimination, you can't do that. That's easy. But an algorithm, the big thing about big data and AI, you take thousands, tens of thousands of data points, each contributing a very small percentage. And that's how it makes decisions. Now, I can have the right to get all the information, so they'll give me a big book of 1,000 pages with lots of numbers. This is why the algorithm didn't hire for a job.
But you won't understand.
What do I do with that? So the thing is, the way the decisions are being made in the world is going to change. Algorithms make decisions in a different way than humans.
Let me take it from here. I acknowledge what both of you said and pick it right up from here. You're both historians, and history is littered with empires and worlds that sort of look back and said, if only we would have done that at that moment, the world would have looked different now. I think we are at that moment. I don't think, we talk about the things we want, we talk about multilateralism, but there are countries who tell us that they don't actually want to cooperate on the standards of the world. There are people who will tell us that I don't want to change the way I make profits, and there is no regulator right now doing that. So this might be the moment in time where we need to think, we know that people start to cooperate when they face a common enemy. And my question to both of you from slightly different points of view is how do we get a real or perceived common enemy out of those real challenges that face us? And you talk a lot about the fictions that unite people and religions and nations. And you traveled the world. Let me ask you first, and then you, Prime Minister.
So, with nuclear war and ecological collapse, it's relatively easy because it's obvious it's a threat to everybody. Nobody's going to win a nuclear war. But with technological disruption, it's much more difficult because there are some people, corporations, and governments think, and with some good reason, that they can win an AI arms race. And they can control the world economy or the world political system with that. So it's much more difficult to convince them that everybody is on the same side. And the really central issue is inequality. I'm not so worried about a country like the Netherlands. I think you'll be okay. I'm much more worried about countries like Venezuela, about Brazil, about India, about Indonesia. Where will they be in 30, 50 years? I mentioned the analogy with the Industrial Revolution of the 19th century. When a few countries dominated and exploited everybody else, it could be much, much worse in the 21st century if you have just a few countries that dominate the new divine powers of AI and biotechnology. And even if you think about the Netherlands and Europe is hardly in the race. At present, at least with AI, it's really China versus the US. And neither is a very good option, as far as we can tell. I mean, the US, at least until a few years ago, at least said that it wants to be the leader of the world and to work for the benefit of everyone.